welcome back to my channel. My name is Alannah. I'm a fourth year dental student who is studying dentistry in Australia, and I'm from Canada. So today I wanted to make a video on my experience studying dentistry in Australia and compare that with some differences that I've noticed between dental school in Australia and dental school in Canada. So if you're from Canada and you're interested in studying dentistry in Australia, then this video will be really great for you to kind of see what my experience has been like, and if you feel like you're going to be missing out on anything by coming to Australia to study rather than staying in Canada. I know that when I was in your position 4 years ago, I was so unsure of whether or not it was the right decision to come here, and I can tell you that yes, as of now, I do think that I made the right decision to come to Australia to study. So ever since 2010, there has been a reciprocal agreement between Canada and Australia that says that the graduates of accredited dental programs in Australia, whether they are the undergraduate or graduate programs, can be considered the same as a domestic graduate in Canada. So that's whether you study the Doctor of Dental Surgery programs or the Doctor of Dental Medicine programs, which end up to be the same. So I just wanted to start out by saying that every dental school is different, and my experience in my dental school in Australia will be different than other dental schools in Australia, and this is the same for dental schools in Canada as well, I'm sure. So that being said, this is just a general overall outline of my experience studying dentistry in Australia at my dental school, with some comparisons to what I've heard from dental school in Canada. Let's start out by talking about the degree structure. So in Australia, I've talked about this in other videos before, there are 4-year programs and 5-year programs. They offer undergraduate and graduate pathways as well. I'm studying a graduate degree, and so that means that this is a 4-year degree, and I will graduate with a Doctor of Dental Surgery. But yeah, I talk about these two pathways more in a different video, which I can pop up on the screen for you guys. In Canada, there are actually no undergraduate pathways to become a dentist. You require your bachelor's degree first, and then you can go into a graduate degree after that. And these are all 4-year programs. Another thing that was very strange for me when I came here is the structure of the school year. My whole life, I've been going to school starting in September and ending in June, or in my undergrad, which ended in April. But here, the school year goes along with the calendar year. So you start in January and you end the year in November or December. So that means that I will be graduating in December this year, hopefully, if everything goes well with COVID and everything. I also wanted to talk about the types of testing that we get in my school in Australia. So when I came to dental school, I was expecting a lot of multiple choice like I was used to in undergrad in Canada, but that wasn't it. We had maybe a few multiple choice in first year, but after that, it's all long answer written questions. So that really intimidated me because they would ask you 1 or 2 long answer questions based on a whole course, and I would get really freaked out that I would study all this stuff, and if I didn't know that one thing that they were asking a question on, then I would not do well on the test. Somehow I made it through. I just found that I was not used to that type of test style compared to in undergrad, so that took some getting used to. Another type of test that I've experienced here is called a viva, and I've never heard of this before coming here, but what it is basically like an interview style test. So for us, we usually get cases or something to look at, and you'll be sitting in front of 2 dentists who are examining you or 2 professors who are examining you, and they will be asking you the questions and you verbally respond. It's like a conversation, and it's a bit intimidating at first, and to be honest, I still get really nervous for them. The last type of test that I wanted to talk about is OSCEs. I know that they do these in Canada as well in different programs. I'm not 100% sure if they have them in dental school, but I do know that there is an OSCE component on the Canadian Dental Board exam. So having OSCEs throughout dental school has hopefully been a really good practice for the board exam, which I'm going to be writing in November. So OSCEs are basically timed questions where you have 2 minutes or 5 minutes to answer a question, and then the question goes away. Our OSCEs were usually done on the computer, so a question will pop up on the screen and then you write your answer and then it moves on to the next one. Next, I wanted to talk about clinical hours. So in Australia, in my school, we started clinic in our second year. So that was our first time seeing patients, and we saw patients probably twice a week. And number of hours in clinic gradually increases each year. So in second year, our clinics were focused on general practice, where we did things like cleanings and fillings and preventative management. Then we also had periodontics clinics, where we actually did root debridement for patients with periodontal disease. Second year was also the year that we made our first dentures for a removable prosthodontics patient. Then in third year, we still had general practice and periodontics clinics, but then we started to incorporate fixed prosthodontics and endodontics as well. So that is where we did our first crown preps and we did our first root canal treatments. Another thing in third year which I really enjoyed was the chance to work on kids. We also had our pediatrics clinics in third year as well. And lastly, in third year, we started doing emergency treatments as well. We had sessions where we would treat emergency cases. So this is where we did our first extractions, our first open and drains, and just getting people out of pain. Now I'm in fourth year. I've been in fourth year for about 5 months now. And this is where I feel like I've really been solidifying all of my clinical skills and gaining confidence. So basically, I felt almost like a dentist, where I'm going to work every day, because every day we are in clinic. There are no more lectures and no more pre-clinics. We are just in clinic seeing patients all the time. So yeah, I say I feel like a dentist. However, I still have the safety net of having a demonstrator right beside me who I can call whenever I need them. Fourth year, we leave our dental hospital where we had been working on patients in second and third year, and this is when we go out into the surrounding areas of Melbourne and we go and get practice in both public and private clinic settings. So yeah, that's something I really love about my experience studying in Australia. I feel like the amount of clinical experience has been incredible, and it's one of the reasons I would highly recommend to study here. Next, I wanted to talk about the attire that we actually wear to school. When I first came to dental school, I was really excited for the whole wearing scrubs every day and not having to worry about what clothes I'm gonna wear. I'm just gonna be in scrubs. In pre-clinic, we wear something called a tunic, where we actually looked like a chef. I will insert a picture right here. And yeah, this is what we wore in pre-clinics. It was not what I was expecting, but yeah, they're all right. It is what it is. That's what we wore. In clinic though, we actually work in our dental hospital, so we have to comply with the regulations of what they want us to wear. And what we wear is professional clothing, so dress pants, dress shirts, and dress shoes, and basically like a clinical gown on top that we change in between patients. Whereas I know in Canada, from the schools that I have seen, for example, I went to my undergrad in Western, I always saw the dental students wearing their scrubs and I loved it and I couldn't wait to wear them. So it was kind of disappointing for me to not wear scrubs. But that's okay, because I will wear them when I'm working in Canada. Next, I'll just briefly mention the cost of studying in Australia. So I have a whole video dedicated to how much it has cost me to study here, and I will pop that up on screen here and link it in the description box below. Canada, I believe dental school is approximately, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but approximately $45,000 a year. This obviously is different for every school and probably every year. In Australia, as an international student, it's approximately $80,000 a year, and it increases every year. Or if you're a domestic Australian student, then it can be around $60,000 to $65,000 a year. But that depends on how you are accepted in Australia and whether or not you are a full fee student, because they have different students accepted on different payments. Lastly, I wanted to mention graduation. So after you graduate in dental school in Australia, in order to work as a dentist in Australia, you do not have to write any national board exam. You can just work directly out of dental school. Whereas in Canada, you have to write the board exam. And studying in Australia, I'm going to be writing the exact same board exam that the Canadian dental school graduates will write. I feel very lucky that they offer the exam in Sydney, Australia every year. So this November, I'm going to be writing it in Sydney. So there's not really a difference if you study in Australia versus Canada. You don't have to write any more exams than what the Canadians have to write in order to practice. So before I end the video, I just wanted to talk really quickly about things that may be coming to Australia that I may have missed out on versus if I were to have studied dentistry in Canada. And obviously the first big one is just not being close to family, not being close to your support system. Dental school can be extremely stressful, draining, and it's really important to have a support system around you, and I would have loved to be near my family throughout this time. And especially now that I'm going through dental school during COVID, it makes it much more difficult for me to see my family. I haven't been able to see them in a year and a half now because of the borders being closed in Australia. But in any normal year, I would have been able to see them twice a year or more if they would have been able to come and visit me here. So yeah, family is a big one, family and my friends at home, and just a support system that I've had my entire life. But that's not to say that I don't have a support system here. I have made incredible friends here who have taken the place of my support system, and they have been amazing. The second thing that I feel I missed out on coming to dental school in Australia, which isn't even that big of a thing, but to me it was a big thing, was not having a white coat ceremony when I first started clinics. I just always dreamed of that moment, and they don't do that here in Australia, so that is definitely something that myself and my friends missed out on. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. The last thing that I may have missed out on is dependent on person to person, and I think that if you are smart about it, you can still do this, and that is to network and make connections with dentists that you could potentially work for in the future. If I was to be studying in Canada, I would have been surrounded by dentists, and I would have been able to make connections and hopefully find a future job in that way. But being in Australia makes it much more difficult to do that, and I feel I've made connections with dentists in Australia which is not going to help me when I move back to Canada. And there are some people who still have done an amazing job in making connections even while being in Australia. And you can do that by visiting dental offices when you go back home on your breaks, shadowing a dentist when you go home, and yeah, just keeping in touch with people is the main thing. So that's it for today's video. Overall, guys, I do not regret my decision to come and study in Australia. I am going to be finished dental school in 5 months, and that feels crazy to say. I've been studying my entire life, and I'm so excited to finish school and move back home and see my family and my friends and finally start working as a dentist. It has been a dream for so long, and it's crazy that it's finally coming true. I encourage anyone to look into the option of studying in Australia. It's an amazing experience, and I don't feel like I missed out on very much. And I think, if anything, I got a really incredible dental school experience out of it. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And let me know if there's anything else that you want to see in videos on my channel, and I'll look forward to making those for you guys. And good luck to everyone who's applying, writing their DAT, whatever stage of the process you're in. And I hope that I can inspire you to go for your dreams, even if you can't make it happen in Canada. Hope everyone is doing well, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye!